What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another fantasy football video. Today, it's trade targets. You know the drill. 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers, half of which are going to be buy low targets. The other half are going to be sell high. Chance that you guys will all have to get Alvin Kamara. He's currently coming off the bye, which was followed by his worst performance of the season. That coincided with the return of Mark Ingram, so I think a lot of people may be concerned of his decline overall. I wouldn't really be too concerned with that. While he should get less touches overall, he still has unmatched upside and arguably one of the highest floors in the running back position, excluding some of those big top 3 guys. Big plays, high reception totals, and his touchdown expectancy is still up there, so don't get it twisted. Alvin Kamara, he's the real deal, and where his value currently stands is the lowest of the entire season. Now, I'm not saying to give up top 6 fantasy back type of value, because that would be a lateral move, and we're trying to buy low on these players, not get a player that we like and give equal value in return. Remember, I said top 6 as a lateral move. Right now, he's RB1. And that's because I am considering that while Mark Ingram is on the field, he is going to be more limited in a sense, more volatile, but he does still have the upside where he's going to get those 30-plus point games. So target those panicked owners. Just know that they aren't going to give him away because they likely don't need to give him up right now. Kamara owners are likely 4-2, 5-1, 6-0. So I'd suggest using those running backs who still hold value but are injured. Someone like Cook or Fournette, and then throw in another player of value on top of that. I could see that type of trade getting done because people who have a really good record are thinking playoffs, and they don't mind sitting on an injured player if they know it's going to give them a big boost come playoff time. Now, moving on, we have Chris Thompson. He's the next buy low candidate, and his value is straight up depleting. He's banged up as usual, but I don't think there is a better player you could ask for in the flex, especially in those PPR leagues. Now, in standard, I don't think you should offer too much for him, but in PPR, he's a really good player to have. The only problem is the game script does have to be right for him to completely go off. His bad games, they're not going to kill your team because, like I said, he gets those receptions, but there are those certain game scripts where Adrian Peterson is just trying to run out the clock, they have the lead, and they're just pounding the football. In those games, they're not going to use Chris Thompson as much just to keep him healthy. So what I am saying is just know trading for Thompson is a little bit risky because he does run the risk of coming back and getting re-injured. Remember, he's still banged up, but regardless, I don't think you need to pay for him much at all. I don't want you to be starting him as your RB2, but as a high upside flex player, you can't go wrong. So if you have the chance to get him, send an offer out for Chris Thompson. Moving on to the wide receivers to lead this list, we have Brandon Cooks, and I absolutely love this target this week, mainly because everyone should want a piece of this Rams offense, and Brandon Cooks is your best way in right now. On the season, he's been surprisingly consistent. He's even had 3 games with 7 receptions. That's insane considering the type of player he was in seasons past, but he's still coming off of a poor performance, which means you are going to have the ability to get him this week. He had a 2 reception game, and the game before that, he was knocked out with injury, and overall, I think that Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp have been the guys that the names are kind of flowing around the fantasy community a bit more, and Cook's stock is a little bit down. I don't expect that to last very long because they face San Francisco, who hasn't been particularly great when stopping big plays to opposing receivers. So if you're able to get Cooks for a back-end wide receiver 2 value, I think he will definitely give you a return on your investment. And believe me, as an added bonus, if you own any Rams player, you haven't yet this season, believe me, you want to. It's really fun to watch. The last buy low target we have, I don't think should be too surprising, but a lot of people are concerned with this player, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I know the owners are currently frustrated. I'm an OBJ owner myself, but that still doesn't mean you shouldn't target him. Now, he's not going to be absolutely cheap. He has been a back-end wide receiver 1 on the season, but what we have been missing is that boom upside that he usually has. He has 1 touchdown, or receiving touchdown, I should say, on the season, and that is mostly due to Eli Manning's inefficiencies. But believe me, there are better days ahead for Odell Beckham. In fact, 3 of his next 4 games are plus matchups. They have Atlanta and Tampa Bay throughout that span too, who we all know are ranked 31st and 32nd against the pass. So believe me, if you want Beckham, you're going to want him in those weeks too. And don't think he's lost a step either. He's currently ranked 8th in receiving grade and is on pace for a whopping 184 targets, which would be a career high for Odell Beckham. So while he hasn't necessarily reached the end zone as much as he has in years past, you should still feel confident in his ability to know that there are better days ahead. I'd give up quite a lot for Beckham, preferably a 2-for-1 type deal where I can upgrade my starting lineup with Beckham while giving up some of my depth. So target those frustrated owners, land Odell Beckham on your team, and count the money stacking up. Now, we have to move on. Let's go to the sell highs, and we're going to start with running backs. Tarik Cohen. A lot of people are not going to agree with this target because Tarik Cohen has been spectacular. Jordan Howard's touches are trending downward. Cohen's are trending upward. But I really think he's been benefiting from some soft matchups. I mean, both Miami and Tampa Bay ranked bottom 5 against fantasy running backs. And the pace that he's on is absolutely ridiculous. There's no way he can keep it up. He has 2 monster performances with 14 receptions combined with just under 300 total yards and managed to reach the end zone twice. That's some RB1 type production. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Cohen isn't a good player, but what I am saying, it's going to be impossible for him to continue to produce at this level. And while I still fully expect for Cohen to see somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 touches per game with about 3 to 5 receptions mixed in there, that would only lock him in as a flex player with a safe floor. And yes, he's a superior talent, but he's definitely hitting the high end of variance. Remember, he's just 5'6", 181 pounds. A player like that can't physically take 20 touches per game. But do you know what? There are fantasy owners out there that believe he's a high-end RB2 rest of season. So find those guys, send offers out with Tarik Cohen, and see what you can get in return. Moving on to the next running back, and this player has been extremely frustrating. Not Jordan Howard level frustrating, but he's definitely up there, and that's Tevin Coleman. And straight up, I don't care about Freeman coming back or not. Coleman hasn't been playing well. In this passing offense, it's red hot. And what is he doing? He's setting career lows in both rushing efficiency and receiving efficiency and is ranked 65th in elusiveness rating and 99th out of 103 in his overall rushing grade per Pro Football Focus. So simply put, he's not playing well. And in half-point PPR leagues, we're 6 weeks in and he still hasn't had a game over 15 fantasy points. And the only thing that saved his fantasy day last week was a touchdown towards the end of the game yesterday. So like I said, whether Freeman's there or not, he's just not producing. His value is certainly going to decrease when Freeman returns, but the overall timetable is not 100% clear or if he's going to return healthy and retain the workload, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to ship him off because no matter what, even if Freeman doesn't come back soon, Ito Smith is going to be right in the mix. It's really difficult to predict that his touches are going to increase or that his efficiency is just going to spike out of nowhere. So he's a player I'm just trying to unload. He scored a touchdown. He's been posting decent numbers, so I'd just get rid of him as soon as I could. Moving on to the final sell high candidates, and these are the 2 wide receivers. To start, we have Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears, and this is another sell high that I love this week because this is a guy you can actually get something good in return for because he's not a garbage player. But the issue is this year has been the season of the wide receiver 2. There's a ton of big name players who are being outperformed by lower tier type receivers on the same team. Players like Tyler Boyd, players like Calvin Ridley, who up until last week was outproducing Julio Jones. And for those reasons, a player like Allen Robinson is the perfect one to use as trade bait because he hasn't been particularly good and he hasn't been particularly bad. He's still getting a decent amount of targets and has scored each of the last 2 games. I think that's kind of a mirage because even though he's scoring in each of the past 2 weeks, he isn't dominating red zone. Target is trending upward. Now, I'm not expecting Demaryius Thomas to just completely tank or to be a sit any given week. He's still going to have starter level production, but right now he's riding high, which means he is the perfect player to throw out there and see what you can get. The fantasy community as a whole isn't really too down on him. I know there were a lot of negative things said about him towards the beginning of the season, but overall the conversations around Demaryius Thomas are that he is a safe low-end wide receiver too, and when he's coming off of these 2 good games, you may actually be able to cash in more than that this week. So take full advantage. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this week's video. If you really did enjoy, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We thank you all for watching and we'll catch you on the next one.